Hello.
What's up?
So I took a shower right before this because I was dirty.
You smell better.
And I knew if I didn't, then I might lose my motivation.
I'm glad to see
We didn't
you
go to the
better.
beach today, so I'm kind of off my normal schedule. So I want to say some thank yous.
Ooh.
So it's just weird, like the things that'll happen to like cheer me up that are just really little. But they're big too. So Sarah Beth is a friend of mine that was one of my church camp campers when she was like 5. She was so little. And more than that, more times after that, but she was so sweet and nice and kind of shy as a young kid. And she has been watching our videos. We grew up going to the same church, but I guess I'm like 10 years older than her, 9 or 10. So she's like a grown-up now, of course, as we all are. But she is collecting textiles for us too. And she sent me a message today and was like, I think I have some stuff, to give to you. And she's watching our video. So it's just nice. Like, thank you so much for that. It's just nice. She's connecting with Allison now. And a lot of people send us encouraging words, but the encouraging words backed with action is just really, it's meaningful for me. And, people that kind of cross your paths in different times of your life. It's one good thing about social media is we've really been able to reach out to lots of people through this. And it's also one of those things that, we are just trying to save these 2 kids' lives, but it's become a lot more than that. But before I forget, if you've never watched our videos today, we are adopting 2 little girls from Liberia, and we've been in that process for 2 years and 2 months, which is a long time, almost 2 years and 3 months. Program usually doesn't take that long. It's usually like a 15 to 18 month thing, give or take, depending on the situation. But we are caught in a chaotic political conflict where there needs to be some leaders emerge that just say, okay, this is what's going to happen. But thank you for those that have watched. Also, I have on my Verona necklace again. That's, on Noonday's website. It's made in, India, and, freshwater pearls. It's a good, I've had it. Jeremy gave it to me for our anniversary a couple years ago.
My Verona.
It's a good necklace, a sturdy necklace. I did break the clasp at one point because I wore it on the boat in the ocean, and I don't feel like the salt was in the clasp really. I did it multiple times, like I jumped in the ocean and still had it on. I don't recommend that, but I did break the clasp, and Noonday still sent me a new necklace. So
You tried to fish with it, don't lie.
180 day guarantee on any of the Noonday products if they break or something happens. So there's that. I also have on my Keep Going bracelet today just because it feels important. And I want to show you guys this. So there's been some makeup bags and pouches and like little that have gone out of stock, but this one is still there. So this is the Sonrise pouch. And one of the nannies at the orphanage teaches the kids to crochet. And I know I've talked about this before on these videos, how I've not been able to find yarn at all. And I finished Topsy the turtle today, which the kids are playing with her. She's the 11th toy I've made since but this is like for my anxiety. So Krubo, God bless Krubo, she found me some yarn. And this is probably like handmade in Liberia because it has like the symbol on it.
Could you use that in hair as well?
Yeah, oh, for sure. This would go great in here. So, but I had a few, I'm not sure what our Liberian daughters are going to want. My oldest daughter is of African descent. She likes the yarn because she likes to have extensions. She wants her hair in a ponytail like her sisters, and she wants to fling it around. But she's not patient to let her hair grow, and she doesn't like to sit still for very long, so we just put her yarn extensions in. But Krubo got this. So these are less than $1 a piece. So I just gave her $10, and I kept 5 of the skeins of yarn, and she kept 5, and some of the older girls were practicing and they know how to crochet. Our oldest Liberian daughter is 8, and she is in the older girl category there socially.
Yeah.
And she made a hat, so they can crochet. But when I was thinking about this yarn, and I was thinking about this pouch, it's still for sale on Noonday. I want to look up and see how much it costs. This is handmade in Guatemala. So when you look at this yarn, they make this on big looms here, and then they spin it down, and then they sell, they make stuff with it, but they also sell the raw materials. It takes a long time to do. But if you look at this The Sonrisa pouch. This is hand woven in Guatemala. Now somebody had to stitch on the zipper, yeah. But if you look at the detail of this, and the way that probably here they do this as well, because they don't really have the chemicals or the factories to do like major dyeing. So really what they're doing is taking like plants. I know this is what they do in Guatemala. They take plants, natural dyes, fruits and vegetables, and they make big pots of dye. And then they stitch it together. So you got to think about like how much time this took to hand stitch and all the little details. Like as I'm knitting together some of these toys for my kids to play with, just for my own sanity. And sonrisa, that means smile in Spanish. But I think about the women in Guatemala, and when we drive to the orphanage, or we drive anywhere here, we spend about an hour and a half in the car one way. Hour and a half in the car. And we see just abject poverty. I mean, you see like people that are very hungry trying to sell stuff on the streets. You see people that are just, you know, kids that are working on cars and motorcycles at like 10 in the morning, so you know they're not going to school. You just see a lot of like need, and you see a lot of people that are very thin. You see a lot of babies strapped to the backs of these moms. And so when I think about Guatemala as well, it's the same. The ecosystem in Guatemala is difficult for them to. They have a rainy season too, a tropical season. They're kind of in the hurricane realm down there, and they're a smaller country, and I thought like their food better than Liberia's food, I would say. But the story is the same. You're still talking about people that that are trying to feed their families, trying just to survive without turning to crime or turning to anything else that's like dangerous. But I wanted to check the price on this sonrisa pouch. But this is good. I brought like medications in it, and I mean you can put anything in this. A friend of mine has one kind of like this, the Drifter. She keeps it in her car. I a lot of times will use these little bags to put my stuff in it, and then my big mom purse has all my kids' stuff that just make a big, you know, so I know where my stuff is. Just pull my stuff out, and then their stuff kind of fills in around. But this pouch, it's not on sale right now, or it's just regular price. But the women that hand stitched this in Guatemala, I just felt kind of inspired to talk to you about them and how they make these big buckets of dye, and how they make these big things of yarn, and then they try to weave it together and sew it together and make it something that someone in America like me would want to use and buy. And I do enjoy it. It's probably like 30 or 40 bucks. So my internet won't load. It makes me nervous about us watching TV, because my internet won't load for me to check the price. So we'll just check it later.
It is raining, so.
And the wind is blowing. But I really have, so Allison Sanders and Clint Sanders, they live in Mount Juliet. And I became friends with Allison when I was pregnant with our middle child. And we had, so our oldest two children are only 7 months apart. So I was pregnant. We had changed churches just to be somewhere a little bit closer. Here's the sonrisa. It's $48, the sonrisa pouch for noonday. And if you were to buy 2 sonrisa pouches, you're helping Uganda girls go to college. So there is the sonrisa pouch. So back to Allison and Clint. So we met Allison and Clint when we were young families. They had I think their oldest daughter at that point was only 3, and 2 or 3, and then we were pregnant at the same time, had babies close together, and then had next babies kind of close together. And so we bonded a lot, but we didn't really, like, we went to that church for about a year, and then we moved to across town. So we really didn't go back to that church. We still kept in touch with them, but didn't get to hang out as often, because we just didn't live as close. But they have, so Sarah Beth that I was mentioning earlier is going to meet with Allison sometime in the next week or so, and give Allison a bunch of textiles, just like my cousin Missy was doing yesterday. And today, Phil the Box went to pick up clothes at Allison and Clint's driveway, like just trash bags of clothes, kind of like we've done like the textile drives. You guys don't understand how lucrative this is. Like, Jeremy and I are on like financial fumes, so to speak, especially knowing for sure that we can't rent our house. We talked about dropping the rent on our house, but you know, then we're still going to be paying, like, we needed to break even. So if we can't break even, it's kind of like, well, we don't really want to do
The
it.
kicker is the minimum lease is 6 months. That's a kicker.
That's the other thing our HOA came up with, enforcing that rule. We were hoping for an exception because of our situation, but they are heartless fools. So
Yeah.
that won't work.
We won't be able to come home. We don't want to wait 6 months.
And it took them forever to get back to us on that question anyway, so that was hard. But it was a good shot. It was a good try. It's neither here nor there. But back to Allison and Clint. So they have this huge load of clothes that is over 100 bags of textiles, just trash bags, kitchen trash bags, you know, and in their driveway. And so I don't know, I usually leave mine in the garage and the truck will pick it up from my garage. They moved theirs out to the driveway. I'm not sure why, but that's what they did. But she has 4 kids now. And she had her kids helping her move stuff around out in the driveway, and they probably think she's crazy. And she's like, my kids think I'm nuts, but they've been moving clothes around. In Florida, we're never going to put it on the driveway because it could rain at any moment. So we just have them like right now. And then, so anyways, Clint was asking the guy, like, how do you know for sure? Because he was watching them load the truck, and we weren't the only, that wasn't the only load they picked up for the day. They usually they can fit about probably 500 or 600 bags, I would say, which we filled up a truck before. So, but it just depends on the size of the truck. But Clint was asking him, and the way they do it is usually percentages. So if you pick up from 3 locations, let's say that they pick up from like a church, a school, and then our house. So the driver will do an estimate. So maybe the church is 20% of the load, the school is 30% of the load, and then the Smith family is 50%. So then they'll weigh the whole truck, and they do it. They pull the clothes out to weigh them and sort them and everything. We don't have to sort anything. You just put it in a bag. It can be a million different things in the same bag. Doesn't matter. And then they do the percentages. So say it's a 10,000 pound truck. Then if we got 50%, that would be 5,000 pounds, which 5,000 pounds is $1,000. So $1,000 is a lot. So Jeremy and I, 1 month in March of last year, this is when I felt like he was ready to break up with me over stinking clothes. But we did 3 loads in 1 month, and we did like 5,000 pounds each load. So we got over 15,000 pounds in 1 month, which was over $3,000. And then like maybe 45 days later, we finished our fundraising goals because we got another grant. We got all these other things that went in. So we thought we were done. May of 2023, we thought we were done. Turns out we weren't. So from May of 2023 till about November of 2023, we were fundraising exclusively for other families. We kept doing our fill the box thing. We kept doing our noonday stuff for different families. We're just donating all of that money to whoever needed it, whoever was next on the list to help. And so it was good because we kept that pipeline open, and now we're not even home. So Paige was going to our house today to check on our house. I told her that there's a couple things coming in the mail. And I told her to go check and make sure nothing's leaking because they're getting like 10 to 15 inches of rain in Southwest Florida where we live. So I was like, can you just do a little walk through and make sure? She's taking her kids over there to swim some too, which I was like, please do, you know. But yeah, so everybody's helping us today, but Paige was taking another carload to our garage. So even though we're not in our house, we're still getting fill the box loads. And if we can just get 1 load out of our garage every month that's full, if our friends keep working for us the way they are, then Jennifer Tilton, God bless her, will call our other store contacts that we used to pick up from, and she will just send a truck to their back door, and they're kind enough to accommodate that. So that's good. So we're just really appreciative of the people that are doing little things that don't maybe feel like a lot to you, but they feel like a lot to me. So, yes. And Allison and Clinton volunteered to do the Both Hands project for us, where Both Hands organization will choose a widow and do some work around her house, and also ask for sponsorship for our adoption at the same time. So people will donate money to help with both projects, both the widow and our children as orphans. And I know my friend Stephanie Roten did that in the past and made quite a bit of money. I remember us we didn't go to the work day. So if you can't give, you can physically help with the widow, with whatever the widow needs. Most of the widows that are around different areas. So since she's in Tennessee, it'll be a widow in Tennessee. So the Both Hands project, I'm really appreciative of Allison for volunteering for that. And it's been and it was one of those projects that was on our list to do, but again, like, we met all of our fundraising goals in May of 2023, so we were like bored. We had this nice chunk of money sitting in our savings account. We paid all of our adoption fees off completely, and we were just ready to come here. Now that savings account money that was sitting there so pretty for so long is gone, as well as our savings, as well as all of our other stuff,
And
money for the
sanity.
roof. Yeah, sanity. But last night we were in the depths of despair so much that Jeremy couldn't even get on the video. But then today we talked to Albert. And Albert is a very serious guy on the forefront. I mean, he's very business, very serious. He's kind of hard to read. Like, him laughing hysterically is this. That's it. I would be falling off my chair, peeing my pants. But this is his at a 9 laughter. And I mean, I was talking to Albert today, and he was asking about Sela Godfrey, who's a friend of mine that's also adopting from the same orphanage. He knows the story of the child that Sela is adopting. He knows that Sela was born in Liberia and adopted as a child, but he doesn't really know her whole story. And so I was telling him a little bit more about her, and that her husband was also born in Liberia, that they met in an orphanage in Liberia, but then lost touch with each other. Each got adopted to different families, and it's pretty spread out time frame. Her book details all of that. But they were both war orphan survivors, which means that they remember when the war broke out, and the violence that surrounded them was pretty impressive. But they live in Tennessee now. They adopted 3 Liberian children that were born in Liberia, that were his relatives that they adopted, that were orphans. And then they also have 3 biological children, and then they've adopted more kids from foster care in the U.S., and then they're adopting Rejoice, who's 5. But he was like, maybe we can get her on the news when she comes. I'm like, she would be all about that, because she's coming to visit Liberia in the end of July to help with the orphanage that she sponsors here, separate from the one that we use for adoptions that we know of. She's coming to help with them, and I'm like, she'll be all about the news. She wants to get signs and protests, like picketing, around the MOG building, around the Ministry of Justice building, and around the U.S. Embassy. I'm like, so she'll be all about the news. Because he just thinks that it would be good to get stories like hers a little more in the public eye in Liberia, to show that adoption can be a very good solution to these problems. So
Yes.
I don't know what else. We talked to him about a lot of things today. I know you were really depressed yesterday, but what was the thing that he said today that just made you like change your tune about wanting to leave? Because yesterday we were like considering packing our bags and being out of here in
I
the
think
next
the hard part is like
week.
just doing our visits now to see our Liberian kids. It's just really hard to leave them there. It's just, I hate it now at this point. It's just such a waste of time to leave them there. But I was just really bummed out. I mean, today's conversation, he didn't give us any timeline really, because there isn't one. But first, there's a way that he can provide hope, and I don't know how to describe it. Maybe it's just his calm demeanor, but he broke down the Tuesday meeting with all the adoption agencies and the Ministry of Gender, and what Small World's attorney said, more from his perspective. Mm-hmm. And it was just a hopeful, God bless the attorney that stood up in a room of 30 people.
Or more, yeah. 30 were sitting at the table, and then there was standing room.
And just dropped fact after fact after fact. And, and I kind of thought this as well, that the Mr. Proper wasn't completely versed on the whole situation.
And Mr. Proper is Beme Horace Colley. She's the head of the MOG, and she took that position in January.
Yeah, and she was just unaware
Appointed.
A complete picture, was unaware of the whole situation. That, to me, is kind of bothersome at this point, considering their entity suspended the orphanage, our orphanage in December, and her action was to stop all adoptions. That probably happened in March, maybe. I'm not sure when that happened.
In late March, early April.
She made that decision. So, to me, that she's not well versed in all the details is a little concerning.
And there's other issues too. There was one of the orphanages that does do adoptions got in trouble for lack of supervision of the kids, and they insisted on all boys and girls have to be in different dormitories, which I think has always been the rule. According to Nelson, I think that's always been a rule, but it was one of those things where they're going to enforce it. So the kids needed more supervision, and that was a big deal to her. So if that's a big deal to her, surely we will be a big deal to her. He's going to try to get some news to her somehow, contact information for her if she'll give it up, or if he can talk to some of her staff and make sure that she knows that we are still in country. And we're not in country like, I mean, of course, the reason we're in Liberia is because we want to adopt these kids and come home. But when we decided to come to Liberia, we felt like there was more going on, and there was, and we felt like we know the budgetary constraints of an adoption-driven orphanage, and we know that they don't have a lot of money coming in, and so we wanted to see what the needs were. And by being here and being able to communicate with other families what's really happening from a parent perspective, and also be able to communicate with you guys, like just the court of public opinion in general, to try to get some humanitarian aid to this orphanage, to this one, and to others, other orphanages. Since we've gotten here, we've helped more than just our orphanage. There's a lot of work to be done in Liberia, but our reason for coming isn't to demand the release of our kids. We would happily take our kids home if we could, and we want to make a difference for more than just our kids' lives. Although they are our focus, if we can't get them, what can we do? And we found a long list of things we actually can do that needed to be done, that are done now. Right down to like new sheets and blankets and new mattresses and toilet seats and lights and solar panels and medications and eye appointments, medical care, shoes, backpacks, what places to store their things. Like there's just, you could walk around that orphanage every day, all day, and never be out of things to do.
Yeah.
They have bunk beds that still need to be fixed. They have, security lights we put up. Like, there's so many things.
Plumbing needs to be fixed.
Yes, they're working on the plumbing situation, but running water for them is like eating cake. That's not even on a priority. Just food for the kids. That's the big priority that they've kept. Paying the caregivers. All these things. So we found plenty to do here. The reason that we continue to stay is that we realized that it was making a difference, but we do, keep getting news that this is going to end soon, and that we could potentially take our kids home on this trip. And that is a carrot that just keeps hanging out.
I was just slapping us in the
But
face.
when Albert talked to us, he wasn't trying to necessarily convince us to stay. He's not a schmoozer. He can't, he's not a salesman at all. He's definitely not a salesman. But he is someone that is going to be honest with us. He knows how expensive it is for us to be here. He knows what adoptive families have to do to be in this race at all. And most of adoptive families plan on spending 3 to 6 weeks in Liberia total. And sometimes that's spread over 2 trips. Some of it's 1 trip, depending on what the family can do. So we're into 4 months. That's 12 weeks. We're well beyond the expectation. So he knows we're out of money. But he's like, because of this conversation that I just had, because of this development, these 2 people meeting, because I don't think the Ministry of Gender Proper, the head lady, she's like, I don't know that she has a full grasp, but her staff does, and her staff is in support of lifting the suspension immediately. Her legal team is in favor of lifting the suspension immediately. The only barrier to lifting the suspension, as I see it today, is her taking the time to read it and just do it. So, and her first assistant, her staff, the people that support her, that help her with a lot of the organization understanding things, they summarized everything for her. They've tried to lay it out, and as soon as she has a day in the office to just digest it, then we think that she'll do the right thing. So Albert wants us to hang out in country a little bit longer and see if that develops in the next 10 days. He's like, let's talk again July 1st. If we see no movement, no development, no nothing, then it may make sense for you to go home.
Yeah, and given the opportunity, I would love to have a conversation with the ministry.
Beme Horse Calling, yeah.
Yeah, it would be great.
And she seems, by all accounts, to be a good person, a woman of faith, a woman of morals, and someone that definitely does care about the best interests of the children of Liberia. Every stance that she has taken has been to decrease violence, increase equality, increase wages, increase job opportunities. Like, she seems like someone that we want in charge of things like this. But we are, of the whole pizza pie that she's looking at on her table, we are a pepperoni. We're not a slice. We're not, of all the things that she's responsible for right now, we are a pepperoni.
Well, I want to be a slice.
I want to be the whole dang thing. But for us, this is all for us. This is it. for her, and I'm not trying to make excuses for her. This has been going on for 6 months. She should totally dealt with this sooner.
Yeah, that's
I think. But I think that the other orphanage that got in trouble for not having 2 dormitories for boys and girls, and not to get into the details of what, but they did make arrests. There were criminal charges filed against them for care, you know, and it's all being resolved. They gave them recommendations. They're following them. They got a new facility. We helped with that fundraising too. We donated to that as well and advertised for it. But if that is reparable, then this certainly is. But I mean, from Albert's standpoint, he's like, that Liberians, because the U.S. Embassy had concerns that there was something wrong, but in fact there was nothing wrong. The Liberian government is still fearful to tell the U.S. Embassy there's nothing wrong here.
Well, instead of like doing
it's just cultural for
complete
them.
Suspension, a better thing, like I think you mentioned this before, is there like a probationary period.
Probation.
Have a mitigation plan. If they don't meet that plan within a certain number of days, then you can do a suspension and maybe a path back from that. But to just do a suspension right off the bat, that doesn't make any sense.
No. And it also was not done by her. It was done by a gentleman who no longer works in the Ministry of Gender's office because he left with the last administration.
Right.
And he was he used the suspension to help himself with political gain. He had an agenda to accomplish, so.
Which, funny enough, it didn't help him.
And he was public about his agenda, so that was hard. He wanted a visa to the U.S. So he was willing to make a bold move to impress someone in the U.S. Embassy. And the thing is I don't think the suspension really impressed anyone at the U.S. Embassy. I would like to think, and I would like to hope, that whoever in the U.S. Embassy made this recommendation or lifted this concern, that it did come from a place of concern for safety for the kids. It's hard to believe when you factor in everything else that we've been told, but we've not met with anyone in the U.S. Embassy. They won't meet with us. We're not on their docket. But we've not met anyone there. We don't know their hearts. We don't know their intentions. We do see that their actions have not done anything to help us, and from what we've heard from other families, they've been quite destructive. With their demeanor, their actions, their words, and the way that they create delays. We hope to not be victims of that. If we are, then we'll come home. But we would like to get them legally adopted on the Liberia side so that we can wait for the U.S. Embassy to make their decision at home. Even if that means leaving our girls here, we just want to change their legal status before we leave. And our Liberian daughter this week, she wrote her first name and then she wrote her last name as Smith. She wrote Jeremy a letter. Oh, dear Mom and Dad, actually, both of us.
Yeah.
But she gave it to him. He wrote a letter back to her. She was so proud of it.
She was.
It took him a while. His handwriting's not the best. But her, dear Mom and Dad, thank you for coming to visit us. It's nice. It was nice. So it is so nice to meet you. We hope to leave with you soon. Thank you for the gifts and something else. It's a really cute letter.
So we hope for that too.
It's mature for an 8-year-old. But we've decided that we are going to start mentioning to them at our visits that it might be that we have to go. We're just going to plant the seed as a possibility. And just kind of take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
I took a picture of it. Oh, here it is. Thank you for the sheets of paper. They look good. I hope you love this drawing. May God bless you. I want to go with you. I love everything you send and bring. Love. And then she put her name, Smith. I love everything you send and bring. I love them. Thank you. So, it's just really sweet how much she, of course, and then all the other little kids that don't have families, they keep writing letters to their pretend parents. And they know they don't have parents. They still want me to save them in case they do get parents, that I can send them to their parents then. And I'll do my best to honor that. Well, I got to talk to Anna today. I got to talk to Devin today, which was good. I got to text with Audrey today and Michelle Davenport and Carrie Bruce. And all of them have encouraging things to say. Everyone is indignant for us. I got to talk to Paige about checking out our house. I had a lot of correspondence today.
Nice.
For a Friday. I got to talk to Albert. He spent about an hour here talking to us.
Yes.
I was so hesitant kind of towards the end of our chat to be like, so, because I don't really want to leave. Jeremy, before meeting with Albert, Jeremy was much more on the side of, we got to get out of here. We're not doing any good here. We got to go home. We need to get our American kids out of here. They're miserable, blah, 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 all that. And it's all true. But I was more on the side of like, what do we do? But I think I objectively asked Albert. I didn't lead him in any way. Is it beneficial that we're here? Is it beneficial for you? Do you think it is worth us staying? Because we can't rent our house now, so we have, we can stay a little longer, but like, what are we looking at here? How long? And he thought about it, and he said, I want you to stay until July 1st. I think the next couple of weeks, the business day, I think we can see a change. I think we're close. And when I asked him specifically, does it help you to have a family here? And he said, yes, it really does. It helps that someone's here waiting. Because he can use that in his argument of, we need to lift it today. We need to lift it now. We need it done now. And when he talked to the Ministry of Gender staff, and when Alfonso talked in the big meeting in front of God and everybody, they wanted it lifted that day. They did push for that day. So, and Albert has also told me that our agency director does not tell us everything that he does. I wish he told us more of what he does, because I think it's just validating for parents. Even if it doesn't get us what we want, it's just nice to hear the voice. But Albert said that our agency director back in Tennessee emails everyone all the time. Like, he's on it. He's being aggressive with Congress. He's being aggressive with the State Department. He's emailed everyone that he can talk to in written form or call or try to get a meeting with. He has. And I think it's easy to get frustrated with your agency. I've had moments where I'm frustrated with our agency because I'm like, what are you doing? And they don't really tell us. And I think he really doesn't want to tell us anything unless he does something that actually gets results. For him, all that matters is results. But for parents, especially for moms, effort matters too. Even if it doesn't get the results you want, the effort matters. But when you listen to Albert talk about, and he has reached out to the adoption unit, the assistant deputy minister that's in charge of adoptions. He's spoken with her. They're going to work out a way to meet, I think. She's been very kind to him so far. We suggested that interaction. We gave her phone number and email address to our agency, and he has pursued that as well. So I do think that even if he doesn't report back to us, I do have a lot of confidence that he is doing everything he possibly can on our behalf and on behalf of our kids. And he does carry the weight of all 36 kids, not just ours. So, not a job I could probably do. So we are grateful for that, even though none of this is what anyone wants. It is nice to have that in our corner. So, and even though our kids too, one thing I've noticed about the orphanage is that our kids are supervised. There's no lack of supervision. The caregivers there are fantastic. I mean, they're teaching them to crochet, they're feeding them, they're clothing, they meet their emotional needs. Like, there's just a lot that they do that they don't have to do. And when I hear of another agency getting in trouble and getting cited and having to make changes for lack of supervision and lack of appropriate, housing and boundaries, that's not happening at our agency. So.
Yes.
Anything else?
Nope.
So very informative. There's nothing funny. It's still funny to me, when I'm in the bathroom, taking a shower or getting ready to take a shower, and I can hear Jeremy cooking or the fridge open. It's just sounds you're not supposed to. I miss my bathroom. So, but we may be going home, selling our house and buying a plot of land and living in an RV and learning to plant our own food. Jeremy keeps listening to how the economy is doing in America.
Unemployment's at 4%. It's been around 3% for a long time.
Well, do we count in that right now?
I guess.
I'm not unemployed, but
I think those are numbers where people are getting money from unemployment. Also, inflation is 30% since the pandemic. The average pay increase was 18%. So inflation is obviously winning. Necessities like food and gas are going up faster than people's wages are. So it definitely hurts everyone. So
we're gonna have to get our own oil.
Pray for our leaders to do a better job, or vote other people in.
Yes, new leaders. Pray for our middle child to not lose her mind. She's on the edge.
She is. We're trying to keep her calm.
She's on the edge. Once we lose her, we lose everybody. It'll be a coup.
Yes.
And it'll be a coup that I will put down. but it will not be fun to put it down.
I almost led the queue yesterday. I don't know what you're talking about.
You were in a dark place
Put it
yesterday, but
It's
and
just-
but I was willing to do what you wanted to do.
It's just so,
I was submissive.
It's like
was I submissive?
You're very submissive. It's an impossible.
Wait, say it again. What was
You
I?
were submissive. It's good.
You said very submissive.
Very submissive.
Say it again. Say Rachel was very submissive.
It's hard for her.
Say it again.
You're
Rachel.
very submissive.
Say Rachel was very submissive.
You're not being submissive now.
Please say it.
Rachel is very submissive.
Because I think of submissive as submit my ideas and hope that he.
No.
No.
That is not what that means.
So, but at the end of the day, we're still doing. We did have last night. We had a rational talk. I was submissive to Jeremy's leadership in this matter, and his advice and his thoughts and his, all things Jeremy. But I also said I was very like
It was a very calm
unemotional
debate. Yeah.
debate about. It's always cheaper not to come.
And I don't think it was even a debate. It was just like we're just shooting ideas out.
But we didn't necessarily agree. We didn't agree
No.
on what we wanted to do.
I think it come a long way. It was a very calm.
I felt like I was very calm in my disagreeing with. I
Well,
didn't totally
we
disagree.
both were. I think we both were.
It's
I wasn't yelling or anything.
Can't turn on each other. There's so many variables here, though. So the one thing that really helps us is when people are working on our behalf to help fundraise, to kind of keep us from having to bail. You're buying us time with our kids.
It's an impossible decision. So it's like, do you leave, and you could get a call the next week saying, well, they've lifted the suspension. It's almost like trying to make a decision and you only see half the picture.
Yeah, and I think that Albert thinks that we're that. I think he's been hopeful up until this point, but I think now he's like he could have easily said, if you need to go, go.
Yeah.
But I think it helps him that we're here. I think it helps him with his arguments to the government. I think it helps him with keeping the peace with the other parents. Not that he's dealing with them, but someone is. And I think that if we weren't here to be an information outlet on things that don't matter as much to an agency, but do matter to a mom and dad. I want to say just a mom, but mom and dad too. Like when I can tell people like, these are the clothing sizes that your son's in right now. So don't bring anything smaller than this, but make sure you got at least a couple of these because it's hard to find clothes here. Stuff like that. I feel like, and just like what pictures they draw, what their favorite color is. These are things that the agency could find out, but this is not on their list. But the fact that we're here, help them, even the unmatched. I mean, there's 3 families that are unmatched. 2 in Tennessee, and then Rachel is not in Tennessee. I just drew a blank on where Rachel lives.
There's another Rachel.
Rachel Dobson, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Remember, we've talked about Rachel Dobson. She's the prayer video.
Yes.
Yes.
Prayer video.
Sorry, I forgot where as soon as we are done with the video, I'll know where she lives.
There's a lot of names.
So she's unmatched. Kelsey's unmatched, and the Coffmans are unmatched.
So do we get to meet the Haylofts tomorrow?
Yes.
Cool.
So we get to meet the Haylofts. They're with a different agency. They're coming to the beach to hang out. They're gonna just walk down here. It's like half a mile.
Nice.
But hey, this is her 3rd trip to Liberia. She's fine.
She's practically a citizen.
But their little girl, it's just them. They didn't bring their American kids with them, so it's just them and their new Liberian child. And so she said she's missing the kids. So I'm like, well, I got plenty of that. Got plenty of extroverted kids over here.
Our kids can play with your kid.
Mm-hmm. We can have some liquid courage on the beach.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
tree Haylofts.
This is way too long of a video. Sorry, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye.